what you're really saying is, A, you don't have to have the cash.
Correct.
People will loan you the money.
Yes.
B, you don't have to have good credit, although good credit is easier than bad credit, but either works. And C, you've got a system that allows people to really understand how to do everything you did from your kitchen table, sitting there with Kathy a lot of years ago with nothing, in fact worse than nothing, and really building yourself to the point where I think you did $15 billion
Yes.
worth of bad debt and never put up a penny of your own.
Right. And we purchased $15 billion worth of charged off credit card loans over the course of 12 years. Now, I had to do it the old-fashioned way. I didn't have the government helping. I didn't have anybody doing matching funds. I didn't have anybody showing me the ropes. I didn't have anybody helping me out. I didn't have anybody saying, well, gee, Bill, why don't you do it this way instead of that way? I didn't have any of that. So it took me 12 years to go from $1 million in the hole to $3.5 billion ahead. Now, that doesn't sound like very long considering how high it went.
Absolutely.
But I want to make sure everybody understands that it doesn't happen overnight. But could it happen faster this time around? Because we're better educated, because we're better prepared, because we got the government willing to help us? Yeah, I think that could really help. Now, there's a fifth part of this process that we just kind of alluded to. And when I did it, I was a collector. I created a company to go collect all these bad loans. I learned a lesson from that. And sometimes you learn what not to do. So this time around, I'm teaching all my students, don't do that piece. Don't be the one that becomes a bill collector. Don't be the guy that buys the loans and then takes them home and tries to collect them from his kitchen table. That was the one thing I did that I look back in hindsight and say, that I am really lucky I made it all the way up there. If I had had a better collection vehicle, a better collection arm, a better collection program, I could have gotten there faster, easier, with less work by me. So this time around, I'm teaching my students how to hire a good collection agency to do that for them. So they don't have to be the one to try to figure out how to be another business. Don't be two businesses at one time. People should never be in two businesses at one time. So why would you be in the debt buying business and have to figure out those 5 things?
Right.
And then go out and say, okay, now I'm going to be in the collection business. And I have to figure out a whole bunch of new things. Gee, now you're trying to learn a whole bunch of stuff. Why don't we just learn one thing? And in this business, if we're a debt buyer, then part of the business is to give the loans to a good collection agency, one that will treat the customers with dignity and respect, one that will treat them with kindness and compassion. It'll still ask them to pay, and it'll still work with them to pay, but it won't be beating them over the head. And that way we can feel good about what we're doing, and we can be helping people out of the hole they're in. And at the same time, if we could just persuade people to pay 15 cents on the dollar for something we paid a nickel for, we would have tripled our investment. Now you say, well, Bill, some of those people are going to file bankruptcy. Some of them are going to die. Some are going to run and hide. Some are never going to take your phone call. They have caller ID, yada, 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 yada. So you're exactly right, Dave. Some of them will. So when you buy a big enough box of loans with enough individual loans in this box, you predict and project some of them are going to file bankruptcy and I'm never going to get a penny. Some are going to run and hide, I'm never going to get a penny. Some are going to have caller ID and they're never going to talk to me. So I have to make enough off of the ones I can talk to make up for the ones I can't talk to. So if we could collect, let's make up a number, 30 cents on the dollar from half of the people in the box, and half of them paid us nothing, what would we have done? We'd have gotten 15 cents on the dollar across all of them, and we paid a nickel for all of it. So we just tripled our money. We paid 5 cents on the dollar, collected 15 cents on the dollar, and yet 50% of them never paid a single penny.